What's going on, people? Welcome to another In Motion Football live stream. My name is Alam, and today we have a few things that we're going to get to. We're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders. We're going to talk about day three as it happens now. It's the sixth round, so we're not going to be talking about draft picks per se, but this is the part of the draft where vets get traded. So if Jalen Ramsey gets traded or any of the other Jair Alexander, if any of those guys get traded, we're definitely going to talk about that live as it happens. But for the most part, what we're going to be doing is honestly, mainly just Shedeur. But then after that, we're going to get to ranking players, and I have a very interesting format to do that today. So it's going to be a hell of a draft, a hell of a stream during the draft. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It's a road to 250 subs, so make sure you hit the subscribe button for sure. But yeah, to the main topic. The thing that lots of people are talking about is Shedeur Sanders falls to the fifth round. Now, how does this happen? I think the first thing is there was not enough spots for backup quarterbacks to go high in this draft. Something I'm going to pull up here. I did a video on quarterback needs, and in the video, I talked about Shedeur falling. Hilariously, me talking about Shedeur falling in that case was where is it? Can I find it quickly? Yes, I can. From 4 weeks ago. Wait, where the hell did it go? Here it is. So I'm gonna zoom in on it. And we're gonna share our screen. About a month ago, I did this video. The video was called Quarterback Needs Going into the Draft and Why Shedeur Sanders Might Fall. The whole concept of this video was, guys, low key, there's not that many teams that need quarterbacks. I was talking about him falling to like the 20s, but my premise was there's actually not that many needs. For quarterbacks in the league right now. I went through the starting quarterbacks in football. I went through the backup quarterbacks in football. And what I determined was there's like 7 spots, right? A few of them got filled by vets after the video leading up to the draft. And then in the draft, Cam Ward took 1 slot. And once Jackson Dart took the other, that was that, people. That was that. There just wasn't going to be a spot for him to be an important part of somebody's quarterback room. Now, once somebody is not an important part of a quarterback room, they're not going to be a second or third round. They're not going to be a day 2 pick for sure, because there's too much value in day 2 for positions like offensive line, defensive line, receiver, and corner. That's that part of the draft. He fell to the 5th round because really the spots ran out. And then in addition to the spots running out, there's going to be a bunch of teams that look at who he is as a backup quarterback and get scared, which is their own failing, by the way. So when you talk about a team like the Philadelphia Eagles or people are talking about the Commanders, some of the teams with veteran, in Washington's case, not veteran, but that have established starting quarterbacks that could take him, because they can kind of have a culture to withstand what Shedeur is going to bring as a star with a star dad. It's your failing as a franchise if you feel like that's going to cripple your franchise or that's going to bring a spotlight that you can't deal with. The Cleveland Browns, of all teams, decided that, you know what, we're going to withstand whatever storm the Sanders family brings. So yeah, it's kind of unfortunate from a financial standpoint for Shedeur, but at the same time, financially, he's well off. He's going to get an opportunity to play and prove himself early, fast track to get that second contract. But yeah, this is kind of an unfortunate situation. I can't believe Shuck went ahead of him. I can't believe Dylan Gabriel went ahead of him to the debate team he got picked by. But yeah, in terms of teams that needed a quarterback that was going to be an important part of their season, there only ended up being 2 teams. Actually, you know what? You can't even count the Giants because they drafted Dart to be the quarterback 3. There's literally only one team that went into the draft with the Tennessee Titans, and they went into the draft saying, you know what? We're going to draft somebody that's going to be a big part of our team this year. So yeah, it's unfortunate what happened. I think he went to a team he's going to start. I think he's going to start early in Cleveland. Unfortunately, I don't think Cleveland is a great spot, so I don't know about that part of things. I think their offensive line should be functional, but their weapons are not it in the slightest. I think, truthfully, I think Flacco should just play. Flacco or Pickett should just play, deal with not having any weapons, um, and Shedeur / Gabriel, and it'll be Shedeur can play next year. Is there a possibility that the Giants cut Jameis to make room for Dart? See, I don't think so. Just because of how asinine, like that would be insane financially to do. That would be absolutely absurd. I'm trying to think. Do I have any other? Wow, if they did something like that, no, they're gonna develop him, man. He's gonna be. Was there? Has there? When's the last time we had a situation like this? You know what? Carson Wentz comes to mind. When he was a rookie, he was at third. As the second overall pick, was at third stringer. The thing is, uh, the emphasis there is that like if Russell Wilson gets hurt in the middle of week 3, you might not want to just throw Jackson Dart in there. He might be good enough to be quarterback 2. Why by week 8 or week 9? But you have 2 quarterbacks in mainly so that you don't have to play Dart early. If Dart ends up being better than Jameis and something happens to Russ, then Dart's going to get to play. Jameis could definitely get his spot taken, but no, they're going to keep him. 1, because this was the plan, clearly. And 2, yeah, then he's their insurance against having to play Dart early. But yeah, with that out of the way, people, shout out to everybody in here. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We are going to get into a part of the stream that I'm very excited about. So I'm going to share my wait, what? Oh, 1 second. Let me. All right, here we are. Put this back on this stage. But yeah, so we're going to get into the power rankings part of the stream. So I'm pretty excited about this. I've wanted to do this for a while, but I'm going to do it in a pretty distinct way. This is not going to be 1 to 32 because I don't really think that tells the whole story of the NFL. We're going to rank teams within the division in terms of order. We're going to space them out to kind of show how far the teams are from each other. And we're going to do all the divisions side by side. So then you can kind of form a view of the league as a whole. So we're going to start with the AFC East. We have the, what the hell? We have the Jets first. No, where's the Bills? We're going to start with the Bills because the Bills are obviously going to be 1. So the Bills, are they in the at the top of the NFL? Not quite. We're gonna put the Bills like here, high-ish, right? That's how we're gonna start. Hello, big up Shub. Shout out to I think a new member. I don't think I've seen your name. But yeah, shout out to everybody in here. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So we're gonna start with the Bills. And I think this is where things get interesting. I'm putting the Patriots and the Jets over the Dolphins. I'm putting the Dolphins pretty low. I think if you want to, bro, find In Motion Football on Instagram. It's just that name. And message me. But yeah, so we're gonna put Miami as the worst team. We're going to take the Jets and the Patriots, and we're going to figure things out. I'm not going to put the Jets or the Patriots close to the Bills. But I'm going to put Miami at the bottom. Now, my justification for this, I actually think Miami is a complete mess. And we're going to go to their depth chart right now real quick to kind of get through, to talk through some of my issues with Miami. But I actually think Miami is in a horrible spot going into next year. Where is Miami? LMNOP. Out here doing the alphabet. Okay, so I think Miami's offensive line is in a really bad place, first and foremost. So we got Patrick Paul at left tackle, second-round pick last year, who kind of struggled. James Daniels, I think he has injury issues. He's a good player, but there's kind of an unknown there. I don't know who that is. They got their second-round pick from this year. I think he should be good. And Austin Jackson is pretty normal. I say this all to say, but this is not a particularly good offensive line. And that becomes a pretty big issue when your quarterback situation is this. It's Tua, who we don't know for sure is going to stay healthy. And Zach Wilson, who, if he's on the field, he definitely needs a clean pocket. Um, so there's one. It would be one thing if they had, I don't know, a quarterback that could run around and escape and really help mitigate the issues that having a bad offensive line provides you. But that's not the case here. Not the case. Not the case at all. In terms of their running backs, they got Ollie Gordon today. I actually like Ollie Gordon, but like Achan is good. Jalen Wright is good. They have good running backs, but I think without having a great offensive line, you don't actually get the full value of having these kind of running backs. And the thing about the running back position is it's pretty dependent on the offensive line. Like they're not going to be able to persevere as a bad unit. Um, so I actually think that that's while that in some case, like in some ways, you would say that this is a pretty good running back room, maybe even better than a lot of other teams. But the offensive line brings it down for me. You then look at the weapons. They have two players, Tyreek Hill and Jaden Waddle. Tyreek Hill is somebody who wants out, is not happy about being in a losing environment, and Jalen Waddle is somebody who misses a decent amount of time. So I look at this offense, and I think they're kind of one or two injuries away from falling apart as a whole. We saw how Tyreek reacted to not being a part of the playoffs last year. If they start out 1-3 or 1-4, I mean, how quickly does that fall apart? Jalen Waddle, candidate to miss games. Tua, candidate to miss games. James Daniels, candidate to miss games. I really just get a bad feeling about this Dolphins team. I think that in a lot of ways, if you think about their organization as a whole, it feels like it's at the end of a cycle with the GM Chris Greer and Mike McDaniels. Uh, it feels like a make or break kind of a season, and they're going into the make or break season with Jalen Ramsey wanting out and Tyreek Hill, not being on the best terms with the team. We go to their defense and interior of their defensive line, they're going to be relying on two rookies heavily because Zach Sealer is the only other interior defensive lineman that's respectable. You got two, I actually respect their edge rushing unit between Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Chop Robinson. But Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, again, two players that have missed a lot of time recently. You got Willie Gay, KJ Britt, two linebackers they brought in. As of now, they're considered backups. So, you sign two linebackers probably because you don't have a lot of belief in these two guys. You go to their secondary. Jalen Ramsey wants out. Outside of him, you have two free agents. This guy didn't start in Detroit. This guy had ups and downs in New York. Storm Duck, an undrafted rookie from last year. Kader Kohu, an undrafted rookie from 2 years ago, who's a solid slot corner. But like I look at this Miami Dolphins team, and I just really see a lot of reasons. I mean, a lot of reasons to be scared. So I think a part of why I'm putting them below the Jets and the Patriots is because I feel like the Jets are on an upward trajectory with Glenn. I think the Patriots are on an upward trajectory with what's his name, Vrabel, and I think the Dolphins on a downward trajectory with their coach. So I'm putting them definitely last in terms of Jets and Patriots. I'm gonna put the Jets above the Dolphins, and I'm going to put the Patriots right here. I don't think, you know what? No, I'm going to give them a little bit of space for Miami. I don't think either of these teams are close to Buffalo. I don't think either of these teams are playoff teams necessarily, but I do think they're better than Miami. And I think as a whole, you're going to see that the AFC is one of the worst teams, or one of I think the worst divisions in football. With this team, with this division, sorry. How do I get okay? Ravens. We're gonna start out putting the Ravens at the top of the division, and in comparison to Buffalo, where are we gonna put the Ravens? I really like Buffalo's offseason from a defensive standpoint, but I don't love their offseason from an offensive standpoint. When it comes to Baltimore, I really like what they did defensively as well. I kind of wish they did more at the offensive line spot, but at the same time, you have Henry and Lamar Jackson, and it's not like you have a bad offensive line. I just don't think they have a dominant one. You know what? I'm actually going to put them on par with Buffalo. I think that's a fair thing to do. So we're going to keep it like that. In terms of second place in this division, it's really tough to do with Pittsburgh because I think I think like my hope was that we would know their quarterback spot. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be the starter, but as of right now, they have Mason Rudolph and not Riley Leonard, Will Howard. If they have to play either of those two players, you know what? We're just going to have to assume Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. If Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, um, I still think I have them above Cincinnati. I really hate Cincinnati's team outside of Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, by the way, and the running back Brown. I really don't like a lot of that team. I think they have some bad vibes going on. I think Hendrickson wants out. I think defensively, they haven't done a good job of bringing in pieces. The defensive coordinator is like, he came from college football. He's not young and inexperienced. He has NFL experience, but um, you got a college coach with not the best personnel. I don't love their draft. I'm gonna give Pittsburgh the edge over Cincinnati. I'm gonna put Cincinnati like a bit above New England, which I know might sound like an asinine thing to say, but like I just definitely believe in New England's coaching more. I believe in their um like fundamentals in terms, like, actually, you know what? No, outright, I think I believe in their defense more. Um so yeah, I'm good, but you can't escape the fact that Chase, Burrow, and Higgins are dynamic. But yeah, I'm gonna put Pittsburgh above Cincinnati. Again, this is factoring in Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. If they get Kirk Cousins, maybe it's different. But as of now, I'm putting Pittsburgh there. And then Cleveland, we're putting last. How do I have Cleveland comparing to the Dolphins? You know what? Let's look at Cleveland's depth chart really quickly. Let's scroll all the way up to the C's. Okay. Defensively, you got Mason Graham and Myles Garrett. You got Schlesinger at linebacker. You know what? You know what? I definitely like the Browns defense better than the Dolphins. Like, it's not even a conversation. And then offensively, the Dolphins have a quarterback, but I mean the Browns got Shedeur. I really don't like their weapons. I think Judy and Njoku is not enough. I definitely think they have to make a receiver move, but they have Judkins. You know what? Cleveland is better than Miami, in my opinion. I'm putting Cleveland right on Cincinnati's tails, right there. All right. Going on to the next division. Houston. All right. So I'm going to put Houston first, but in terms of where I have them in comparison to these other teams, I really like everything that Houston has going on, but their offensive line, especially post draft, because I thought their receiving core was fine, but it's better than fine now. Oh my God, the Raiders just took a quarterback from North Dakota State. Why would you do that after the Trey Lance pick? Damn. But the offensive line not being strong is such a serious problem in this sport. I actually think that that's a big concern. So I can't say that I'm all the way comfortable. I'm gonna put them a touch below these two teams, Buffalo and Baltimore, just a touch below. I think their defense is better than both. I think their receiving core is better than both. Or their receiving core is better than both those teams' receiving cores. From a running game standpoint, I mean, I think I like, but the offensive line is going to compromise that. Yeah, they're going to have the worst running game, the worst protection for their quarterback. Yeah, you know what? I have to put them a touch below Buffalo and Baltimore, but yeah, honestly, if they had a great offensive line, I might put them above both, but I can't without that. So then we got Jacksonville, Indy, and the Titans. So you know what? This is where things might get interesting from comparing to the other teams in the AFC standpoint, because I think, okay, you know what? Let me see how do I feel about comparing these teams to Cleveland and Miami. I think the Colts, I don't like where they're at as a team. The Jaguars also, even post draft, also kind of skeptical. Titans, I think the Titans, I might put you know what? That's where I'll start. I think, no, I don't need to edit you. No. Okay, the Titans, I think I want to put them in Bengals territory. I can't put them in Steelers territory yet. I might put them as Bengals territory, and I think I have the Jags. Okay, this is where some spacing is going to have to occur. Okay, let's move these teams a little bit up. We're going to move Pittsburgh a little bit up. We're going to move these teams a little bit down. We're going to Cleveland a bit closer to Miami. All right. Jets and Patriots. Yeah, I would say I have them in this cluster here. I think there is going to be a cluster in the middle. I think Tennessee is kind of a part of that cluster here. I think Indy and Jacksonville. You know what though? I have them both above. Yeah, I'm gonna have to space these out because I need to be able to put Indy and Jacksonville here. Again, in terms of trajectory, I think the Colts are trending down. I think the Jaguars are trending up. I think the whole situation in Indy is going to. I feel similarly about Indy the way I feel about Miami. Like it's just time for that situation to clear house. Their quarterback situation is not good enough. This regime has had enough time to pick a quarterback, and they haven't. The issue isn't that they have this like really team that has no talent. That's not the case at all. But we see this all the time in the NFL. There's bad teams that have decent talent, and I think the Colts are set to be that kind of a team because I think bad GMing and I would say inexperienced coaching is going to come back to bite them in the ass. With the Jaguars, I actually think the Jaguars have done enough to get a. Yeah, you know what? I think they've done enough. I might have to put them right here. I might think I think both these teams are in a similar spot. No, yeah. Okay, yeah. The Trevor Lawrence stuff is difficult for sure. Um, he hasn't performed in a while. Like since the year that he had the comeback against the Chargers, I don't feel like he's played particularly well. They got better at the offensive line, but I don't think they like their running back room, which obviously is an issue. I think if you have a quarterback that you don't necessarily believe in, you have to have at the very minimum a running game that you feel good about. So yeah, that's not great. Yeah, okay. I'll put both these teams kind of on level pegging, slightly above Cleveland and Miami. And then going into the last division, we got the Chiefs. The Chiefs who had a pretty pedestrian free agency. I don't think they made any particularly great moves. When you look at their draft, I think their draft has been solid. It's been okay. Obviously, when you see what happened in the Super Bowl, you realize that they weren't the best team in football. Or to be honest, they weren't the best team in the Chargers shat themselves. Hey, bro, tomato, tomato. Um, the Chiefs, they weren't the best team in the AFC. They just happened to win the playoff games because the Eagles would not have done that to Buffalo or Baltimore. And I don't know if they did, if they had better off seasons. You know what? I might have to put Kansas City in where Houston is at, right? So Buffalo, Baltimore, the teams I feel the best about going into the next year. Again, I'm not going to sit here and act like the Chiefs are in a bad spot. Like, I mean, I feel pretty good about Houston, but yeah, I mean, the Chiefs had issues. We saw them in the Super Bowl. What have they really done to make their issues better? Simmons is a great pick long term, but Simmons is coming off a really bad knee injury. He might not be great as a rookie. Jalen Moore, a backup from San Francisco, they're relying on him to be their left tackle. Jawan Taylor, disaster waiting to happen. Like that, he's not great as is. When he starts to regress as a player, that's going to look really, really bad. As bad as their offensive line was last year, their second round pick, Kingsley, wasn't really able to help them. So that's an issue. Our division will be held. Yo, bro, the division's going to be good. So yeah, I can't put the Chiefs in the top tier. They haven't quite responded to the Super Bowl the way I think they needed to. They're still going to be relying on Kelsey. He's still old as hell. Yeah, that I'm not feeling great about them. Okay. So I'm gonna put Denver and the Chargers. I'm not fussed about order yet, but I need to create some space here because okay, these have to go up because these two teams I think belong higher than this whole cluster here. So we're gonna need to do some spacing here. Okay, move Miami down. We're gonna move the Jets and Patriots here. Okay. I like where the spacing is at now. Denver and the Chargers, I think, are definitely both going to be above Pittsburgh. Okay, so the Chargers, they had an off season where I think they didn't make any drastic additions, but they just kind of stuck with the formula of progression that like gave them forward momentum last year. Obviously, it was a big improvement from Staley's team to Harbaugh's team, but it's not like Harbaugh brought in all this elite talent out of nowhere. No, he made some fundamental decisions, right? Focusing on the trenches, taking Joe Alt, um, you know, focusing on being a running team with Dobbins at times. When they didn't have Dobbins, it was rough. But yeah, this year it's a similar kind of offseason where they added some key components. I think what's his name? Omarion Hampton is going to be really good. I think the receiver they took in the second round, Trey Harris, is going to be really good. I think with Harris and McConkey, you have two viable receivers now. Your running game got better. Your offensive line got better with Becton. I don't really think they made crazy moves on the defensive side of the ball. I think they still have to figure the corner position out. I don't think they can cover for shit still. Um, Along the defensive line, they replaced Puna Ford with somebody in the draft. I forget his name. I think his name is Jamari. Um, but yeah, I got a question. Fire away, bro. Fire away. Um, so yeah, I think for the biggest thing for me is that while I think their offense took steps forward, I don't know if the defense meaningfully took a step forward, and I think that's what's gonna stop me from really getting excited about them. But the way that the Chargers are building, it looks like they might have a similar offseason to what happened this offseason, like next year, focusing on the defense. But yeah, they still have to be above Pittsburgh. So we're still going to put them above Pittsburgh because still Herbert over Aaron Rodgers any day. And now the Broncos, I think I'm going to put the Broncos above the Chargers. As for how close the Broncos are to that top tier, I can't put them there, or I can't put them close either. One, because I still don't believe in Bo Nix like that when it comes to going head to head with Mahomes, Stroud, Lamar, or Josh Allen. Um, at the very minimum, you need the kind of game that Jalen Hurts has been able to have against Mahomes. I've also seen Jalen Hurts beat Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Like, I think Jalen Hurts is like the lowest level of quarterback play you could have going up against those kind of players. So I don't know if the Broncos can get that from Bo Nix. I don't love the Broncos' weapons. Their weapons right now, their main two weapons are Sutton and Evan Ingram. I don't love that. So they have some developmental guys behind them. Not really thrilled with them either. Um, at the running back room, a lot of people were thinking they would go running back in the first round. That didn't happen. They took RJ Harvey, which I'm not thrilled with. So, like, their running back room doesn't look great. I really like their offensive line, and I think that's like the foundation of what they do. I think the thing for me with the Broncos is their defense looks amazing. Like, I'm thinking Denver is going to be the best defense in football next year. The Hufanga and Greenlaw additions are going to be great. Jade Barron is going to play in the slot with Riley Moss and Patrick Surtain, and that secondary is going to be unreal. Like I said, they got Greenlaw shoring up the linebacker room. We still got Nick Benito. They have John Cooper, and I think they got an edge rusher to rotate with John Cooper. Man, Denver's defense is going to be unreal. I think Denver is the best non-contender in the AFC. But yeah, this is how I would put it. Let's say, if for argument's sake, they got Omarion Hampton or an elite receiver, I would have put them like right here, right on Kansas City's tails. But I think that lack of, like, your best two weapons on offense are Cortland Sutton and Evan Ingram, and your third best is a complete unknown. I don't think that's great. If you were the Chargers and the first two picks were going to be no order, would you stick with the same picks, Hampton and Harris, or go? No. I think you guys got it right. I think you guys definitely got it right. I would not have gone the other way around. Damn. that doesn't work out either. But yeah, no, I like the way you guys did the picks. I don't actually love the running backs beyond the part of the so Henderson, Judkins, and there's somebody else. No, it was just Henderson and Judkins. After they went, I didn't like. I know the running back. They talk really like nicely about this running back class. I like the running backs as um like parts of a committee. I think the top four running backs were the only like serious difference makers. I think it was important for you guys to get a difference maker at the running back spot, not just a guy who could run the ball, because you guys have Greg Roman. If you guys had a different offensive coordinator, maybe things would be different. But with the one that you have, I think it has to be Omarion Hampton. When it comes to the receiver you guys got, Trey Harris is good. But you guys aren't even going to be enough of a passing offense to say like, oh, you got to get the best receiver you can. They have McConkey and Harris. That is a functional 1-2 receiving core. It's not a receive like it's enough of a receiving core to where defenses can't completely just focus on stopping the run, which is I think all you need in that offense. I think in a way they need to focus on having as dominant of a running game as they can possibly have, because that's just what Greg Roman is. Before we pick that defensive tackle, I was hoping for us to pick Jared Wilson, but I know we lost Puna Ford. Yeah, you guys needed to replace Puna Ford for sure. So again, I forget his name. It's Jamari something, but you guys did get that player, and you did get him for pretty good value. So that's the spot there. Who's Air Mike? Okay, but yeah, that leaves the Raiders for the last team. Where do I have the Raiders? I kind of don't like a lot of their roster. Truthfully, I'm gonna take a look at it one last time to see if I'm being overly critical. I kind of don't like their roster. I don't like Geno being on a team without a great offensive. I mean, we saw him on a team with a shit offensive line, but there's no guarantee that this offensive line is going to be like significantly better. Again, JPJ and Colton Miller are the guys here. Jordan Meredith, Parham. Actually, no, they're going to play Kappa. I don't know why Kappa's not starting. Maybe these draft picks are going to be difference makers, but I don't know, right? So you have Ashton Genty, but you have the offensive line to make the most of Ashton Genty? I don't know. Geno Smith is there, but he's like 35 and he's not that mobile as is. Does he have the weapons to where he can get the ball out of his hands quickly and efficiently? No, I don't think Jack Besh and Jacoby Myers is enough. They need more. Bowers is great, but like I said, I think they need more from a weapon standpoint. I don't love the offense. At least they're not relying on Mostert though. Defensively, I like Crosby and Kuntz and Wilkins. But holy shit, this this linebacker room is trash. If they're starting Devin White in 2025, they're in for a rude awakening. They downgraded at the safety spot, going from Morrig to Chin. Their corners are unreliable. Yeah, the Raiders are definitely the worst. Definitely the worst. Yeah, I'm putting them here with the Indy Jacksonville. Yeah, I'm putting them here in this tier. I think these 5 teams to me are the bad teams next year. These are the okay teams, and then these are the good teams. Like that's the AFC in my opinion. But yeah, going to the NFC. So we're gonna start with the Eagles and Commanders because I'm gonna put the Eagles and the Commanders pretty high. I'm gonna put them close to each other. I don't think the Commanders have done enough to help themselves out defensively. They have younger players that they're developing that they have reason to believe will be good for them. But they just gave up 55 points in the NFC Championship game, and they haven't really made meaningful defensive additions. I think that's a really bad thing. They drafted Amos on day 2. But the thing is like they're going to need Amos to make up for the Marshawn Lattimore trade. If you look at the Eagles, I think we're in a really good spot, man. Jahad Campbell is a great pick. I think the big thing for us is just going to be, can we replace Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? But the thing is, and the thing most of you guys don't know, actually, you know what? We have a lot of draft picks we can trade to make midseason upgrades, but you can't factor that into a power rankings. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and act like we didn't take a step back because we definitely took a step back. But again, Washington took a step up, but the gap in the NFC Championship game was big. I just think the gap got smaller. As far as contenders go, though, I'm putting us on the same tier as Baltimore and Buffalo for sure. Because I mean, Super Bowl winners. Again, we made it down. We took a step back, so I can't put us head and shoulders above them. But I'm gonna put Washington, honestly, in that Houston, Kansas City tier. Get his bum ass out of here. We might sign Keenan back as a. Oh, true. Keenan would be a good addition. From what OKC, secure the present, secure for the future. No, we should be in a good spot. But like I said, we just have, like, before I put us head and shoulders above everybody. I got to see the young players that we had to develop. I have to see them developed. But yeah, I'm gonna put Washington pretty high. Something I just want to put out there about Washington, though, is that, like, be mindful of the fact that whenever quarterbacks have breakout seasons, that first year afterwards is usually tough because the league shows them all their solutions for what that quarterback was good at. And then the quarterback then has to adjust to that, which can take time. There's potential that Daniels doesn't get any better than he was last year because of that, because it's a very difficult thing to navigate. They got better, like, on the surface. Like, Laramie Tunsil is definitely an upgrade. They got Connerly, that's definitely an upgrade. Their running back room is still not good. Like, Eckler and Robinson was not good enough. Was not good enough last year. It's still not good enough. If anything, Eckler should regress because he's older. He's already in his 30s. Ertz can regress. Debo is not young. Like, they actually kind of strangely have a pretty old team around Jaden Daniels. There's a lot of space for regression. Debo Samuel, are we still sure he's like a great football player? I'm not sure. So, what? No, I gotta put Washington below Kansas City and Houston. So I'm gonna put Washington above Denver and the Chargers, but below Kansas City and Houston. So I think that's where they belong. the the Giants, I think, belong in the. I think the Giants belong in the Bengals tier. We need to get rid of Staley and Telesco's Dark Realms. Yes, for sure. Quentin Johnston just needs to be gotten rid of because he's a reminder of bad things. But yeah, I'm going to put the Giants in the Bengals tier. I think they get to that level of being a football team in a really strange way, but I think their defense is going to be good next year, right? You got Brian Burns. You have Abdul Carter. You have Sexy Dexy. You drafted Darius Alexander. You have Thibodeau as a rotational edge. They have solid linebackers. They got Javon Holland. They signed Paulson Adebo, who's a good corner. Deontay Banks, we'll see if he can finally be what he's supposed to be. That might be, still something that can be taken advantage of. But all things considered, when you have an elite defensive front, it can really, like, make things easier for the players in the secondary and at the linebacker spot. So I think the Giants are going to have a really good defense. I think offensively, it's probably not going to look that good. I don't think their receivers are good enough. Malik Neighbors is phenomenal, but Darius Slayton and Jalen Hyatt and those guys, not a good enough group of complementary players. The offensive line is still okay. It's not good enough. The running back, the rookie, Tracy, he had a good year, but it's still not enough. Like, the offense is going to be lackluster. Funnily enough, I think the Giants this year are very similar to what Pittsburgh was last year because both had substandard offensive lines. Pittsburgh's last year because of injuries. Both receiving cores have one guy, right? Neighbors and Pickens, and nothing else. Both running back rooms are okay. Like, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, that's okay. Tracy is also okay. And then defensively, like, they have TJ Watt. They have some pretty good defensive pieces, just like the Giants. So I think, I would imagine Russ takes a step back because that's what quarterbacks in their mid-30s are on the track to do. So yeah, I think the Giants are kind of in a similar pocket to where Pittsburgh was last year. But I mean, probably a little bit worse. So I'm going to put them in around where the Bengals are. But I can't message. Okay, I'll accept your request and then I'll message you. You can't message him because he's a fraud. Damn, nonstop slander. Okay, Dallas Cowboys. I think this is where things get very interesting. Very, very interesting because I kind of think they're candidates to be trash. Now, their running back room as of right now, Deuce Vaughn, Jaden Blue, Miles Sanders, and what's his name? From North Carolina, Javonte Williams. That's not good enough. So if they don't have a good running game, especially because their offensive line, I think their guards are going to be good with Tyler Smith and Tyler Booker. But their left tackle was a disaster last year. Their right tackle is like he plays half the sport. Like great run blocker, not a good pass blocker. Their center could still use some development. So like the ground game, pocket protecting part of their team isn't going to be good. Their receivers right now are CD Lamb and Jalen Tolbert and Mingo, Jonathan Mingo. Um, I actually can see the offense really struggling. Like I think about their offense versus the Giants' offense. It kind of two cheeks of the same ass. Like you got Lamb and Neighbors on an island. You don't have good supporting weapons for either of those players. You don't have particularly great offensive lines, even though I would take the Cowboys' offensive line. Quarterback standpoint, I take the Cowboys quarterback. From a ground game standpoint, like a running back standpoint, I take the Giants. And then honestly, I think the Giants have a better defense. Like Ezeraku and Parsons should be good, but they still haven't figured out their defensive tackle spot. The DeMarvion Overshown, you can't really rely on him. The linebackers aren't great. Safeties aren't great. Their corners should be pretty good with I don't know when Diggs is going to be healthy. I don't know when Revel is going to be healthy, but they're both good players. Bland is a good player, even though he's a bit literally a boomer bust corner. I actually kind of think that what's the rankings, bro? We're ranking just teams. We're ranking teams. But big up, King. Good to see you. We're just ranking teams going into next year. Damn. Yo, Weagles is interesting. Are you putting W in front as a good thing, or are you cooking the team name? I'm not entirely sure. But big up, Manj. Like Manj says, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, people. But yeah, I mean, I think the Giants are better than the Cowboys. I think from a Cowboys standpoint, do I put them in this Raiders, Jaguars, Colts tier? I don't know. I don't think so. So yeah, I gotta put them like between them and the Giants. Actually, no, I'll put them like right behind the Giants. Yeah, man. I don't think America's team is in a good spot. So that's where they're gonna go. Okay. AFC North. Sorry, NFC North. This is gonna be so chaotic. This is gonna be so chaotic. So I'm gonna do it like this. I think the Packers are gonna be the worst in the division, and I think they're still gonna be better than the Giants. In terms of the Packers being the worst in the division, their defense wasn't good enough last year, and I don't know what they did to get better defensively. So that's not a good thing. They didn't make a change at the coaching spot. The defensive coach is still the same guy. I'm just going to double check this to make sure I'm not hating. Where are the Packers? Okay, yeah. So literally, they made one. So look at this. Their draft picks are going to be third stringers. All their free agent signings are going to be third and fourth stringers. The only thing they added to their defense is a nickel corner, which is not like a serious change. And then when you think about how much continuity they have, that means that the teams can scout last year's tape and this year's tape. So there's more to break down. Like, I actually think that this is pretty bad, like from a progress standpoint. Like defensively, odds are, if anything, they'll be a little bit worse. Offensively, again, what have you done? You signed a guard who most people would say isn't good, and then you drafted receivers. None of which are players that are adding something new, though. Like Golden is good. I think he's a very good player, but I don't think he's adding anything new, except maybe like a deep threat that Watson is. They're gonna miss without Watson whenever he's hurt. But like, so what's our rank? I'll explain all the selections in the end, but I already got past it. It's literally just up versus down. Like, when I go back to the grid, I'll show you. You think there's a chance Jair Alexander is out? They make it seem like he's out. So then actually, that's a very good point, bro. Then they're actually losing somebody like Jair. They didn't even replace him in the draft. So you know what? I might have to drop the Packers. They don't have a better defense than the Giants. They have a much better offense than the Giants, though. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to still put them above the Giants. But yeah, I'm putting them here. You think there's a chance? Okay, yeah. So yo, King, it's literally just top to bottom. Like I have the Steelers as better than everybody in the AFC except these 6 teams. But yeah, got the Dolphins as literally one of the worst teams in football. That might be one of my like hot takes, or just definitely a hot take. But I think the Dolphins are complete shit. I think they might look good in September, while they're completely healthy. I think the second injuries happen, they fall apart, and I'll revisit that take at the end. Um, but yeah, okay. Rest of this division. Rest of this division. Okay. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Bears next, and I'm gonna say the Bears are better than the Packers. Now, why are the Bears better than the Packers? Because their defense was good as is last year. I think their defense. It was hard to tell because of how the team was, but I think they have a better defense than the Packers. Offensively, they're. I think with their additions, they're at like a similar level to Green Bay from an offensive line standpoint. They don't have a better running game. We didn't see it last year, but I actually think Caleb Williams is not a downgrade from Jordan Love. Like, I don't know how good Caleb is, but I do think he has the ability to be as good as Jordan Love next year. Um, from a weapon standpoint, it's like all things considered pretty similar. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the Bears defense is what really gives them the edge. I would say these teams are close-ish as of now. Um, Yeah, I would say they're close-ish. They're in this kind of Steelers area of good teams that we still think are a little bit away from the contenders. And again, with the Steelers, the big thing is the quarterback spot. Um, bro, I hate Miami next year. Steelers will make the playoffs and have a winning record. We better win a playoff game. We either have to be ass or a second or third round playoff team. Uh, no, I hear it, bro. I hear it. You guys need to get out of purgatory. But yeah, then when we get to the top two teams, I think this is where a hot take might happen. But I got the Vikings over the Lions right now, and I'm gonna put them just a touch below the Eagles. And what I'm gonna say about the Vikings is, I think they loaded up their roster around McCarthy, and McCarthy is the only thing holding them back from being Super Bowl contenders right now. But the thing about McCarthy is, we don't know shit about him. Like, we have his tape from Michigan, but his tape from Michigan is so restrictive because they barely asked him to do anything. He handed the ball off a ton. The rare times where he did have to make throws down the field, he would make them at a decent rate. But again, it's such a small sample size. Everything good with JJ McCarthy is just a really, really small sample size. But bro, like, and I'll talk about it when I get to Detroit. If you think about what Minnesota was last year going into next year, right? They're better on defense because they essentially actually, you know what? Let's go back to their team. Where's Minnesota? Lower. Okay, so Minnesota, they're gonna have a better secondary because this guy tore his ACL before training camp, right? They brought in Isaiah Rodgers. They lost one of their players. What's his name? No, they lost to safety because what's the guy? Oh, the guy who went to Minnesota's Indy. So they lost to safety, right? But they added to their secondary Isaiah Rodgers, who played for the Eagles last year, and this guy, their draft pick, third round pick, who tore his ACL. So meaningfully, like in the secondary, they're generally the same. In the front seven, they're generally the same, but they added Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen. That's interesting because they didn't have very much at all at defensive tackle last year, and they were still, however good they were, like 14 wins, but we saw that they weren't real contenders. The issue with Allen and Hargrave is that they're both at an age where they could start declining, and Hargrave has already started. They're also both injury prone, but if they're healthy, like, that's a huge addition to have a presence in the interior of the defensive line. They also both get after the quarterback, Hargrave especially. So that's a meaningful addition. They got better. And then when it comes to the offensive side of things, right? Jordan Mason is a better backup, so they have a 1-2 punch potentially. Aaron Jones was healthy for the first time in his career last year, but they can maybe take some touches off his body. And then from an offensive line standpoint, they always had very good offensive tackles. They just had nothing in the interior of the offensive line, to which they made 3 meaningful additions. I think Donovan Jackson is going to be good. Will Fries, he's good. He had his injury issues. If he can stay healthy, he'll be good. Ryan Kelly, I think this one might be a little bit overblown, but he is a center, right? So the center is the position that gets the most help on the offensive line. He's old. I think he's like 33, but it's still an upgrade. So the Vikings, they made serious additions. Like they are better than last year as a whole. And then when we talk about McCarthy versus Darnold, the thing is what we learned last year is that Darnold is not all that at all. So the idea that McCarthy is so much worse than Darnold, I actually don't think that's possible. If anything, I think he'll be in a similar range. And in that case, the Vikings still got better. But if he's even just a little bit better than Darnold, then that just adds to the upgrades they made. Now that brings me to Detroit, because my main takeaway with Detroit is that Detroit took some steps back. And the main thing here is coaching. So they lost their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. The Eagles did the same thing after the Super Bowl against the Chiefs when they lost. And I can tell you as a fan of that team that shit was devastating because we couldn't replace them. Now, we don't know for sure if the Lions have failed to replace their quality defensive coordinator and their quality offensive coordinator. But the reason this situation is similar is because Nick Sirianni doesn't he doesn't call plays or really do a lot of schematic stuff. He's a culture set, like a tone setter and like a culture, like a leader of the culture. Same with Dan Campbell. So the thing is like these two new guys that are in charge of the offense and the defense, they're the kings of like those two units. The defensive coordinator, Kelvin Shepard, pretty young. He was a part of the staff last year, so there's continuity there, but he has zero experience as a defensive coordinator and a play caller. There's a possibility that goes wrong for them. On the offensive side of things, I forget his name. I think it's what is the hold on, Lions offensive coordinator, but he came from Denver, right? And he's been on John Morton. So this guy, John Morton, the offensive coordinator, like this is the guy I'm super skeptical of because he's basically, okay, think about this, right? 2023 to 24, he was on the Broncos staff. I wasn't particularly thrilled with the Broncos passing game and like their offense. I'm not particularly thrilled with like Sean Payton's approach to playing football. Ever since the Drew Brees, you've kind of seen that Sean Payton is kind of like a control-based offensive coach. Like he coaches to have control of the game, not to put up numbers, right? You go before that, he was on the Las Vegas Raiders from 2019 to 2021. Do I remember them being particularly special as an offense during those times? No. The Jets in 2017. With Sean Payton again in the Saints 2015 to 2016. I'm just very skeptical that the offensive coordinator, John Morton, this is facts. By the way, General, this is a complete facts. So this is my thing, right? He is the disciple of the Drew Brees merchant. That's not good. It's not a good person to have in an important position. And the thing is, the Detroit Lions offense is crucial for them because what is their whole philosophy? Their philosophy is being aggressive. You can only be aggressive if you're good. If you're aggressive in your shit, that's not good. That's like especially bad, right? And then I look at their offense. They lost one of their offensive linemen. Now, I do think that they did a good job of replacing him in the draft. They got Tate Routledge in the second round. But, there's a chance that their offensive line takes a bit of a step back. David Montgomery, I don't know if you guys remember, but he had a really bad knee issue that he basically decided to play through at the end of the season. I mean, there's a chance that those are the kind of things that really have long-term issues. Maybe Montgomery takes a step back. Goff, everybody knows that Goff has been playing well, but everybody has their reservations about Goff. What happened to Goff against Washington? He had a horrible game. There's a chance that whatever Washington did, mind you, Washington is not a good defense. They got 55 put on them in the NFC Championship game. Maybe what Washington did on defense is a bit of a blueprint on how to deal with Goff. And maybe a part of what happens there is that the blueprint on Goff got put out the same time that Ben Johnson is leaving and a lesser offensive coach is joining. So I say this all to say I have some concerns about Detroit. Their personnel, their roster on paper is still amazing. I cannot sit here and act like that roster from a value, from a talent standpoint, isn't really good. But I also feel like the Eagles in 2023 also had a very good roster. We went to the Super Bowl before and after that season. But look how shit we were that year. Coaching is very important in the NFL, and there's a chance that the Lions might not be a well-coached team this year from a tactical standpoint because Campbell is still going to do his thing. but that's a little bit scary to me. So I'm going to put the Lions right where the Commanders are. I think that they belong in that territory, and I'm putting the Vikings a little bit above them. Look, I really respect the Vikings coaching. I really respect their team around McCarthy. I think there's a small chance. You know how quarterbacks sometimes in their first years they have they have a better year than their talent says because people just don't know anything about them. So you can't really properly scheme for them. There's a chance McCarthy benefits from that. So my take is that I feel a little bit better about the Vikings than I do the Lions. Michigan sports can't keep winning Pistons. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is just how I feel. It might not happen, but it's definitely how I feel. Okay, and then going into the last two divisions. Okay, so we're just gonna start with the Saints because the Saints are no bullshit. They're gonna be playing Tyler Shuck, so we're gonna put them right where the Dolphins are at. Um, Bro, if they play Tyler Shuck because Derek Carr is not gonna play, their other quarterbacks are Spencer Rattler and Jake Hayner. If they play Tyler Shuck, bro, this is gonna be bad because not only are they playing um with a not great quarterback, but I don't think he's going to have great weapons either because their best weapons are Jawan Johnson at tight end, who I don't even think is that good. Rashid Shaheed, who is good at very specific things, but he's not a well-rounded great receiver. And a Chris Olave, who has a serious concussion issue. The Saints are going to be really shit. The Saints are going to be really shit. So we're going to put them in the gutter. Okay, the rest of this division, I'm definitely going to put them at least here. Tampa Bay, that defense is still shaky, bro. That defense is still really, really shaky. I think this division is going to be clustered somewhere here. Carolina, I don't think they did enough to get better defensively. I think offensively they should take strides, but I'm still kind of putting them in this Cowboys territory here. The Buccaneers, good offensively, bad defensively. You know what? I feel comfortable putting them in the in the Green Bay tier. Atlanta is the question mark, by the way. I'm basically either going to put Atlanta a touch above or a touch below Tampa Bay. I can't quite know this division via default. That's really how it feels, bro. That's really how it feels. But you know what? I'm gonna make things a little bit spicy, right? Let's say Atlanta is a smidge better than Tampa. Because here's the thing. There is a chance that Atlanta has a better I'm going to put the Panthers a little bit closer to the Giants. There's a chance that Atlanta has a better defense than Tampa Bay because they just drafted two edge rushers. The thing is, they didn't draft shit players at all. I think it's a little bit aggressive to trade your first round pick next year, but they didn't draft bad edge rushers, right? They got better at edge rusher. I think they need to get a corner. I think a corner would help, but they still have Jesse Bates. They still have AJ Terrell. Tampa Bay's secondary is really shit aside from two players. They have one good corner, they have one good safety. It's a pretty shaky secondary outside of those players. From an edge rusher standpoint, they don't have anybody behind Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick, who stepped away from football due to stupidity, they're relying on him to be good at football again. There's a chance that goes really poorly. Levante David doesn't really have a linebacker beside him to play. Levante David is also 35. There's a chance at some point. The Dolphins just took Quinn Ewers. Oh, that solidifies where the Dolphins are in this ranking. But yeah, there's a chance that like Atlanta has the better defense. When it comes to the offensive side of things, I actually think they both have good offensive lines, but Atlanta's is probably a little bit better. From a weapons standpoint, the Bucks have a great receiving core, but like in a way, they're like the spicy Bengals because like the Bengals have a great receiving core and a quarterback. You know what? That's actually a little bit offensive to say that they're the spicy Bengals. I think in a way, the Bengals are the spicy Bucks because the Bucks defense. Like here's the thing, guys. There's a chance that defense might be shit. There's a chance. Let's actually look at it because last year they were okay on account of production, but the coaching actually really, really helped them. But yeah, look, they did not add a starter except for Hassan Reddick, who might not be starting caliber. But yeah, like they're just actually, you know what? Tyke Smith, I don't think he deserves the slander. Actually, guys, I just forgot that they drafted Benjamin Morrison. You know what? I'm editing my pick right now. I just realized that but Benjamin Morrison is hurt as hell. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna put them like both where Green Bay is. You know what? That shit is a tie. We're putting Tampa Bay and Atlanta right there. One thing I will say about Atlanta is I do think that their offense should be good. The thing is, we never got a chance to see that offense with Michael Penix properly. We saw them with a shit quarterback, and then when Penix was there, um, it was too late because it was the beginning of his career. Um, I think there's a chance he has a good year. Like, I don't think Penix is a bad quarterback. He's definitely better than Kirk. And he might, again, benefit from playing a lot of his early career football where teams don't really know him yet. But Baker's still a better player. So, yeah, I'm pretty conflicted about that one. That's true, man. Fake NFL fan, fake streamer, underqualified to have a channel. Underqualified to have a channel. Use my link, though. But yeah. We're gonna do that with this division though. Okay, Seahawks. Fuck. Okay, I may have to. I may have to do some. I may have to do some reorganizing this part of the thing here because it's starting to get a little congested. I think the Cardinals are like Panthers good. I think the Seahawks are like. Do you know what? That offensive line is still shit. I think the Seahawks are Dallas good. I think the Niners will be better. I think the Niners are like um Chicago good. And I think the Rams are like okay, hot take. The Rams are a contender because their strengths are really strong. Like when Stafford is balling, Stafford is really good. When McVay gets to calling a great game, he calls a phenomenal game. Jared Verse is dynamic, but also like they're not a perfect team. Like they do have their issues. Their linebacker room looks shit. They got Puna Ford to stop the run, but without Puna Ford, like he's gonna be there by himself. Puna Ford aside, they have a bunch of weak run defenders. What are their other issues? Oh, but they got Devontae. You know what? You know what? We're gonna put them on Minnesota's level. Just a touch below Philly, but we're gonna put them on Minnesota's level. Yeah, I feel much better about them than any other teams in their division. And yeah, this is kind of how I have it. Like similar to last year, I think there's a pretty massive category of like, but actually, you know what? That's not how I feel. I'm gonna have to do this again, people, because I need to devote more time to comparing teams. They still have the overpaid receiver. Devontae? Wait, who? Are we talking about the Rams right now or the Niners? Because yeah, the Niners, having Ayuk first year post injury is not going to be good, and I don't think Pearsall is good enough either. Fuck, man, I have to. I might have to do a whole stream dedicated to this later. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. So yeah, we're gonna do this again, people. Shout out to everybody in here. I'm gonna go over to my NBA channel now, and we're gonna watch basketball. We're gonna watch Clippers and Nuggets, a game that I think just started not too long ago. So I'm gonna let that stream run a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna let me find the link. I will drop the link in the chat here, people. But I'm running off to watch basketball. Big game 4 of this series. Like I said, people, I'm gonna do this stream again because I just realized it deserves more time than the time I could give it. So we're gonna rank every team again in this format where we're gonna basically rank the entire league against itself. I'm gonna do some reading. I'm gonna see if maybe I'm a little bit underinformed on some of these teams, but this is how I feel as of now. And we're going to revisit this later. So make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, tune in when I do this again. And now we're into the real like off-season part of the NFL calendar. So the content is we're gonna figure out what the hell to do, but we're gonna do something. Aside from that though, join me here. I'll be there in maybe about 5-10 minutes. Take care. I'm out.